Welcome to a journey into one of psychology's most fascinating and unsettling phenomena, a world where not just one, but two or more minds share the same deeply held false beliefs. This is the story of shared delusional disorder, or folie à deux, a rare and complex condition where delusions spread from one person to another, binding individuals in a shared reality built on illusion. Imagine the power of belief so strong that it can cross the boundaries of individual minds, infecting relationships and altering the very fabric of what's real. When two people become trapped in the same delusion, their shared reality can become a fortress of denial, fear, and paranoia. But beyond the mystery and darkness lies a powerful lesson about the human need for connection, the dangers of unchecked influence, and the incredible capacity for growth and healing. In this video, we will explore 3 real-life cases of shared delusional disorder. These stories are more than clinical curiosities, they are cautionary tales and sources of inspiration for anyone seeking to understand how our minds can deceive us, and how we can reclaim our mental freedom. We'll delve into the psychology behind these shared beliefs, examine the dark forces of influence and vulnerability at play, and learn practical strategies to break free and build mental resilience. Because understanding the shadows of the mind helps us shine brighter light on our path to success, clarity, and authentic connection, stay with me because these stories will challenge your assumptions about belief, influence, and the power of the human mind. Shared delusional disorder, also known by its French term, folie à deux, literally madness of two, is a rare and complex psychiatric condition where 2 or more individuals share the same delusional beliefs. What starts as a false belief in one person spreads to others, creating a shared yet distorted reality. Unlike ordinary disagreements or misunderstandings, these delusions are fixed, intense, and resistant to reason or evidence. The shared belief can range from paranoia about persecution to grandiose ideas about identity, power, or destiny. Typically, one person called the primary or inducer develops the original delusion, often tied to underlying mental illness or severe stress. The others, secondaries or followers, adopt the same delusion due to close emotional bonds, isolation, or suggestibility. The disorder often occurs within intimate relationships, couples, family members, close friends, where intense emotional connection and isolation from outside reality create a fertile ground for delusion to spread. What makes folie à deux so intriguing is its demonstration of the mind's social nature. Our beliefs and perceptions aren't formed in isolation. They are influenced profoundly by those we trust and spend time with. This dynamic can be a source of strength and growth, or, in folie à deux, a pathway to shared mental imprisonment. Understanding this disorder reveals how vulnerable our minds are to influence, and how crucial mental boundaries and independent thinking are for well-being. In the coming sections, we'll dive into 3 gripping real cases of shared delusional disorder stories that reveal the human drama, psychological complexity, and the journey toward healing. Our first case takes us into the life of a couple, deeply isolated from the world, whose shared delusion created a terrifying reality of paranoia and fear. John and Mary had been married for over a decade, living in a remote countryside home far from neighbors and social interaction. Over time, John developed a belief that they were being watched and persecuted by unseen forces, an invisible enemy intent on destroying them. Mary, deeply connected emotionally and physically to John, gradually adopted the same conviction. Together, they constructed a narrative where every shadow, every passing car, and every unfamiliar sound was proof of their persecution. Their world shrank as their fear grew. They stopped leaving the house, cut off contact with family and friends, and lived in constant vigilance. This shared delusion consumed their lives, fueled by isolation and the intensity of their bond. Their minds reinforced each other's fears, creating a feedback loop that made escape from the delusion nearly impossible. Medical intervention eventually revealed their condition. Through therapy and medication, John's delusion was addressed, and Mary gradually disentangled her beliefs from his. This case highlights the dark power of emotional connection, how love and trust, when combined with isolation and fear, can bind minds into a shared illusion. It also reminds us of the critical importance of social connection and diverse perspectives in maintaining mental clarity. For anyone seeking success and growth, this story underscores the danger of isolation and unchecked influence and the necessity of surrounding yourself with truth and support. Next, we'll examine another compelling case, a family bound by a dark secret, trapped in collective delusion. Our second case brings us into the tangled dynamics of a family whose shared delusion became a dark secret, binding generations in fear and misunderstanding. The Smith family, living in a close-knit community, held a secret belief that their home was cursed, that evil spirits haunted their land and brought misfortune to anyone who entered. This belief originated with the family matriarch, who experienced unexplained tragedies and became convinced that malevolent forces were at work. Over time, this conviction spread to her children and grandchildren, shaping their world. Family members reinforced the narrative, interpreting every accident, illness, or misfortune as proof of the curse. This shared delusion dictated behaviors. They avoided certain places, refused outside help, and lived in a state of constant dread. The isolation this created was profound. The family avoided community interaction, distrusted outsiders, and grew increasingly insular. Mental health professionals who eventually engaged with the Smiths found that the delusion was deeply ingrained, intertwined with cultural beliefs and emotional trauma. Through patient therapy and community support, the family began to question their beliefs and reconnect with reality. Healing required unraveling not just individual delusions, but collective narratives held tightly across generations. This case illuminates the complex interplay of culture, emotion, and family dynamics in shared delusions. It reminds us how powerful stories, true or false, shape identity and behavior. For those on a path of personal growth, it offers a lesson: challenge inherited beliefs, seek diverse viewpoints, and cultivate openness to change. Up next is our third case, a pair of friends trapped in a web of paranoia and fear, illustrating how delusions can extend beyond family ties. Our final case takes us deep into the lives of two lifelong friends, Jake and Tom, a pair whose bond, once a source of strength and camaraderie, became the foundation for a shared psychological prison. Jake first developed an intense belief that an elusive, secret organization was monitoring and targeting them. It began as vague suspicion, a gnawing feeling that they were watched. But over time, Jake's mind constructed a full narrative of persecution, shadowy figures following their every move, coded messages in everyday events, threats hidden in the mundane. Tom, deeply loyal and inseparable from Jake since childhood, gradually adopted the same conviction. Their friendship created a closed loop of reinforcement. Every glance from a stranger, every unexpected call, every coincidence was viewed through the lens of threat and surveillance. This shared delusion, while uniting them in their fear, also isolated them from the world. They began to withdraw from family, friends, and society, convinced that outsiders were part of the conspiracy or unable to understand their reality. Their lives unraveled, lost jobs, fractured relationships, and days filled with anxiety and hypervigilance. The constant state of fear dominated their thoughts and actions. What makes this case particularly poignant is how the power of social connection, often celebrated as a force for good here, becomes a mechanism of entrapment. Their mutual reinforcement of delusions formed an echo chamber, shutting out dissenting voices and rational perspectives. Mental health professionals found treating Jake and Tom challenging. The shared nature of their delusion meant that individual therapy alone was insufficient. Treatment required a delicate balance of building trust, fostering independent thinking, and gradually opening them to external realities. Their story is a stark reminder of the immense power of influence within close relationships, a force that can nurture growth or perpetuate destructive patterns. For anyone striving for personal growth and mental clarity, this case serves as a caution. Be vigilant about the beliefs and fears you share with those closest to you. The ideas we echo can shape our minds as much as external facts. It also highlights the critical importance of maintaining your own mental boundaries and fostering critical thinking, even and especially within intimate relationships. As we move forward, we will dissect the psychological mechanics behind shared delusions, understanding how and why they spread and bind people in shared false realities. Shared Delusional Disorder, or Folie reveals a fascinating, if unsettling, aspect of the human mind. Its profound susceptibility to influence from close relationships. But how exactly do these delusions spread from one person to another? What psychological forces bind minds together into a shared, false reality? At the core lies emotional dependency. The secondary individual often depends emotionally or socially on the primary inducer, a spouse, family member, or close friend. This intense bond creates a fertile ground for ideas, no matter how unfounded, to be absorbed and adopted unquestioningly. Isolation amplifies this effect. When the dyad or group is cut off from outside perspectives, there is little opportunity for challenge or correction. The shared narrative becomes the only lens through which reality is viewed, reinforcing the delusion. Another key factor is suggestibility. Some individuals are naturally more prone to accepting beliefs from trusted others, especially under stress, fear, or mental vulnerability. This vulnerability makes the transmission of delusions more likely. On a cognitive level, the human brain seeks coherence and order. When faced with ambiguous or distressing experiences, it constructs narratives that make sense, even if they are false. Shared delusions provide a shared framework to explain and manage anxiety and uncertainty. The psychological concept of conformity also plays a role. Humans are wired to fit in socially, often adopting group norms and beliefs to maintain harmony and connection, even when those beliefs conflict with external reality. Furthermore, repetition and reinforcement within the relationship strengthen the delusion. Repeated discussions, confirmations, and emotional validation make the shared belief more resistant to doubt. Understanding these mechanisms is crucial, not just for clinicians, but for anyone seeking to protect their mental autonomy. Awareness of emotional dependence, isolation, suggestibility, and social pressures can help us build mental boundaries and resist harmful influences. For those on the path to success and growth, this knowledge translates into the importance of cultivating diverse relationships, seeking external feedback, and fostering independent critical thinking. In the next section, we'll dive into the dark psychology behind influence and vulnerability, exploring how our minds can be both powerful and perilously fragile. Human beings are profoundly social creatures, wired to connect, trust, and rely on others. But this strength of social connection also exposes a darker side of our psychology, one where influence and vulnerability intertwine, sometimes trapping us in shared delusions and destructive patterns. Dark psychology reveals how influence can be wielded to control thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. In the context of shared delusional disorder, the inducer, often charismatic, dominant, or mentally unstable, exerts a powerful psychological hold over the secondary, whose vulnerabilities make them susceptible to suggestion and manipulation. This dynamic mirrors broader patterns of control seen in abusive relationships, cults, and propaganda. It illustrates how emotional dependence, fear, and isolation create fertile ground for influence to flourish unchecked. Vulnerability, in this sense, is not weakness, it's a natural human condition intensified by stress, trauma, or mental illness. But it can become a gateway through which harmful ideas infiltrate the mind. Understanding this interplay offers profound insights for anyone seeking to protect themselves mentally and emotionally. It underscores the importance of building emotional resilience to resist undue influence, maintaining critical thinking and skepticism in close relationships, recognizing manipulative behaviors and toxic dynamics, cultivating a supportive network that encourages independent thought from a motivational perspective. This awareness is empowering. It teaches us that while influence is inevitable, we are not helpless. We can learn to recognize when our minds are being shaped unconsciously and take active steps to regain control. In terms of success strategies, guarding your mental autonomy is crucial. It allows you to make decisions based on truth, not manipulation or fear, and to foster relationships that support rather than control you. In the next section, we'll explore practical strategies to break free from toxic thought patterns and shared delusions, reclaiming your mental freedom. Breaking free from toxic thought patterns, especially those fueled by shared delusions, requires conscious effort, strategy, and unwavering commitment to mental freedom. First, develop self-awareness. Begin by recognizing when your thoughts or beliefs might be influenced unduly by others. Journaling, meditation, and mindfulness help you observe your mental landscape without judgment, identifying harmful patterns before they take root. Second, cultivate critical thinking. Question assumptions and seek evidence for your beliefs. Challenge the narratives that feel imposed or untrue. This intellectual discipline weakens the hold of false shared realities. Third, expand your social network. Isolation is a breeding ground for delusion. Engage with diverse groups, perspectives, and experiences. Exposure to different viewpoints fosters flexibility and opens your mind to alternative truth. Fourth, seek professional help when needed. Therapists and counselors can guide you through the complex process of disentangling shared delusions, offering tools for cognitive restructuring and emotional healing. Fifth, establish healthy boundaries. Learn to say no to toxic influences and protect your mental space. This may mean distancing yourself temporarily or permanently from individuals who reinforce destructive patterns. Sixth, practice self-compassion. Healing is not linear. Be patient and kind with yourself as you navigate recovery, understanding setbacks as opportunities for learning. Seventh, engage in empowering activities. Pursue hobbies, education, and practices that build confidence and self-efficacy. Positive engagement strengthens your identity beyond the delusion. Eighth, maintain consistency and perseverance. Changing ingrained thought patterns takes time. Commit to daily practices that reinforce clarity and autonomy. By embracing these strategies, you reclaim your mind from the grip of shared illusions and toxic influence. You move from victimhood to empowerment, building a resilient, authentic self capable of growth and success. Next, we'll delve into personal growth, cultivating mental independence and emotional strength to sustain lasting freedom. True personal growth lies in the cultivation of mental independence and emotional strength, the twin pillars that support freedom from toxic thought patterns and shared delusions. Mental independence is the ability to think critically, make decisions confidently, and stand firm in your own beliefs, even when faced with external pressures. It is about developing a clear, grounded sense of self that is not easily swayed or manipulated. Emotional strength is the capacity to manage your feelings, bounce back from setbacks, and maintain hope in the face of adversity. It is the resilience that allows you to navigate life's uncertainties without losing your inner balance. Building these qualities requires intentional practice. Engage in self-reflection to understand your values, fears, and triggers. Practice mindfulness and emotional regulation to stay present and centered. Seek knowledge and diverse perspectives to broaden your understanding. Foster supportive relationships that encourage growth and autonomy. Set personal goals that align with your authentic self, not external expectations. This journey is not easy. It demands courage to face uncomfortable truths and the humility to learn continuously, but the reward is profound: a life lived authentically, with clarity, purpose, and strength. Remember, mental independence and emotional strength are not destinations, but ongoing processes. Each day presents opportunities to reinforce your freedom and expand your potential. As we approach the conclusion, we will integrate these insights, showing how overcoming shared delusions leads to empowerment and a renewed sense of life. As we conclude this journey through the shadowy realm of shared delusional disorder, or Folie, Deux, it's clear that the mind's power to deceive is matched only by its capacity to heal and transform. These three real cases have revealed how deeply influence, vulnerability, and isolation can bind individuals into shared illusions, creating realities that feel as vivid and real as any truth. But they also illuminate the remarkable strength found in clarity, the ability to see through distortion, reclaim mental autonomy, and rebuild a life grounded in truth. Overcoming shared delusions is not just a clinical victory, it's a profound act of personal empowerment. It requires courage to challenge deeply held beliefs, resilience to face uncertainty, and support to sustain healing. For anyone navigating the complexities of belief, influence, and mental freedom, these lessons resonate far beyond psychiatry. They remind us that our minds shape our realities, but we hold the pen. By cultivating awareness, critical thinking, and emotional strength, you can break free from the chains of shared illusions and step into a life of clarity, connection, and growth. Thank you for joining this exploration. May it inspire you to protect your mind, nurture your independence, and live authentically.